G'day everyone, Ben the Spider Seeker here. Now, if you've come over from Instagram, you'll see that I've put up some webs that are around the house, basically everywhere you look. You can see from the legs, we've got a black spider. I'm going to put him down, or her down. She's pretty skinny because I found her, well, my son found her in the bathtub. So we haven't given her anything to eat yet, so it's been a pretty quick turnaround on this one. But we'll see her off to a spot where she'll be much happier. So this little spider here has a bit of a subtle patterning to her on the back. She is a house spider, Decidae family, Venom genus, I believe it is. And they make all of those untidy looking webs that can sometimes have a bit of a funnel to them all around every nook and cranny in your door. You can sort of see, if she holds still for a sec, she does have little fangs, but they're not big and bulbous like you would get on a funnel web. They're sort of just tucked in neatly and you can barely see them from above. And you can see that patterning on the abdomen. It's very subtle in a house spider. But the two common ones tend to be the black house spider, which is probably this one, which is Venom insignis, and the grey house spider, which is basically looks very similar, a bit lighter in colour, tends to be brown, and that is Venom longinqua. Now these spiders haven't really caused any massive issues, so nothing life-threatening. Their bite can make people a little bit sick, so I'd probably put them just above sort of the mildly venomous rating, so we're in towards the moderately venomous, but at the same time, a lot of bites, they won't get enough of a venom yield to really be an issue. You can see she's missing one leg, and that's not too much of an issue. So that missing leg will grow back. She's actually she's not that old, so compared to my thumb there, she's probably a couple of years old. So I guess, yeah, she's getting on a bit, but the females will have their limbs grow back with each molt they have. If it was a mature male, their leg would not grow back, because once a male matures, they don't molt anymore, and that's pretty much done for them. So in terms of their venom, like I mentioned, they're moderately venomous. Let's get it back into focus. Here we go. No serious issues. So a few people have rocked up to the hospital, they've gotten a bit sick, and some nausea, headache, sort of a couple of the usual symptoms you'd get with a low-level envenomation from an animal, but nothing life-threatening, nothing particularly to worry about. Now, a lot of people will actually go their entire life in Australia seeing their webs but not really seeing the spider. And a lot of people will panic and see their webs being a little bit of a funnel shape and think they have funnel webs all around their house. But the big clue is funnel webs really like moisture because they've got their book lungs. They're pretty much open to the air. So if the air around is too dry, they'll dry out really quickly and die. This one looks a bit on the thirsty and hungry side, but she would be quite happy building a web in an area that's relatively dry, because instead of book lungs, I'm not going to really be able to get underneath her without her slipping and getting upset. She has instead tubercles. So they're little pipes instead that have a much smaller opening, so she doesn't dry out as much. Now, the reason that's a big clue is that funnel webs need to build their web in a place where it's quite moist. So not completely just wet, but enough moisture that they don't dry out. If your walls, if your brickwork, if your windows have that much moisture, you probably have bigger issues than a few funnel webs around your house, to be honest. And you probably want to sort out the moisture issue rather than the spider issue. And then when you sort out the moisture issue, any funnel webs that are in your wall will move away. But what's more likely is that your house does not have that much moisture in it, and you've instead got these. So these are house spiders. Like I said, they are, a little bit more than mildly venomous, so a few people have had a stronger than mild reaction, I would say. And there we can see the little patterning. But nothing really worth worrying about, and a lot of people never see the actual spider themselves because they are so shy, they just hide in any nook and cranny they can find. But she really doesn't like to be under the bright light. Oh, sorry, flipped herself. But she's managed to sort of make a web already for herself to get around. They are better climbers than funnel webs, so funnel webs can't climb a smooth surface, where she's going quite well. Like she is finding footholds, but eventually she would be able to make her way around and find a way to climb on the glass, usually by webbing up a little bit like she has. But she is a great natural pest controller as well. So like I said, they will find every nook and cranny and hide around your house. If you don't spray, yes, the prey will come back first. So ants, cockroaches, flies, that kind of thing. I can say this from experience because we moved into a new house. And the first thing I said to the previous owner was, hey, please stop spraying because I'm going to be bringing a few animals that won't respond well to the house having been sprayed. And he was quite worried because he started seeing spiders, and I sort of said, well, you have no idea what's coming, do you? And but what I noticed when we moved in was, yes, the prey came first, so ants and cockroaches made their way in. We just sealed everything up in the kitchen that we could, and eventually spiders started to move in properly. And now we are nearly 10 years on, and these spiders have filled just about every gap into the house. So we don't actually see that many flies, ants, or cockroaches inside because there's no gaps for them to get through without being devoured by house spiders. She seems panicky a bit, but that's because she's trying to climb on her own webbing and she's sort of struggling a bit. So I might see if I can just flip her so she stops panicking. There we go. So, all in all, actually, these are very ferocious predators. They will eat anything that gets caught in their web. I suspect this one's gotten quite skinny because she built a web in a spot where not enough prey was coming in. And having found her in the bathroom, she was probably tucked away inside a cupboard or something that we never opened, and wasn't getting enough food. So she's reached a point where she's needing to move on. So I might give her a bit of food and a bit of water before I relocate her somewhere that she'll be a bit happier, possibly out behind the shed, and we'll see how she goes. I won't keep tabs on her because obviously once you've released a spider, she's gone. But yeah, hopefully she'll be a bit happier out there. Anyway, so large black spiders that make a funnel-shaped web that are not funnel webs. They are actually not really worth worrying about because they will eventually fill all the cracks and nooks and crannies in your house, and you won't have to worry about any pests getting in. And I say this as a father of small children as well. So these are all over our house. No one's been bitten, but if they are bitten, mild to moderate symptoms. Anyway, that's been house spiders. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. If you have anything you would like to see a video about, let me know in the comments. And if you want to see what their webs look like, I'll link the Instagram. I think it'll come up as a story. I haven't used Instagram too much. In the comments, in the description as well, and you'll be able to see what their web looks like. For now, have a good one, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.